3. So, good morning everyone. Welcome to our live stream debate with the 3 candidates for Peter McGill District. They're going to introduce themselves and going to tell you why they're here, what are the important things for their candidacy, and what they're going to bring to Peter McGill. So, I'll let them introduce themselves, and they have 2 name change.
Stephen, thank you very much. My name is Steve Shanahan. I'm the incumbent city council for the Peter McGill district. My background in politics I started a residential organization on one of the streets in our area. My young family here downtown, we started and we saw a lot of safety issues and what have you. Got that started. And then I became more and more involved in local politics, and at the time we were under Mayor Gilles Tremblay and all that administration. I was very dissatisfied with things, and my wife said, well, if you're not satisfied, you might as well try and make a change yourself. And I thought it was great advice. And so I ran 4 years ago. I had a pretty good majority victory. And we're working really hard. Obviously, the biggest thing that I was going around door to door talking about was the real need for a school downtown. And now that's not necessarily, certainly not a municipal question, but it comes with municipal planning. And if we say that we want to keep families downtown, we have to have these things. And I'm really happy to say when the CSDM finally met with them once I was elected, they actually said I was wrong. We don't need a school, we need 3 schools. And so it's very validating. I've been working on many different things, from budgets to inclusion issues, and really been involved. And so going forward, I really want to make sure that the quality of life, we keep on making sure that there are no bars open past 3 o'clock in the morning. We have inspectors for Airbnb for higher quality of life, and that things move forward, and we have a really good quality of life based on the needs of the citizens of Peter McGill. So enjoy the debate and send us in your questions.
Yes, hello, my name is Javiz Sharifian. I'm representing Projet Montréal here for Peter McGill. I'm really proud to be a member of Projet Montréal simply because we're pretty much the only political party that's very much connected at the grassroots level to the people. And I'm saying that because we have over 5,000 members. Anyone with any interest in the city could become a member and vote on our platform. And I think that's an added bonus. We've seen that our message is resonating with people. We've just looked at our momentum over the last couple of months. We've gained 14 percentage points, and right now we're a real contender in this election. And that's mainly because we're offering a different vision for the city, a city that's extremely livable, a city where it's sustainable urban development is extremely important for us. Just to talk about myself a little, I'm an engineer. I grew up here in Peter McGill. In addition to being an engineer, I have a master's from School of Urban Planning in Physical Development with the option of project management, and I've also studied economics at LSE. In addition to that, I have over 18 years of experience, majority of that doing international development work with UNDP, UNESCO, and so on. And it's my love for international development to help improve the living quality of citizens of the world that has brought me here. Now that I'm here back in Montreal with raising my family, I want to concentrate on improving my city.
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Kathy Wong. I'm really proud to be the candidate for Peter McGill, and I'm with the team of Denis Coderre. So I'm really happy to be here because we'll be presenting our platform for youth, for students, and one thing that is really great is that in our team we have more than 20% of people that are under 35 years old in our team, and it has been creating a lot of great ideas for our city, and especially for a vision for youth, where youth is integrated in our vision of civic participation and of their inclusion in different decisions inside the City of Montreal. In the past, I've done my studies in political sciences at the McGill University and in law at UQAM. And I was the former president of the Forum Jeunesse de l'Île de Montréal, which is a youth forum for the whole region of Montreal, where we debated and worked a lot on youth issues in the region of Montreal. And I was also the former president of Le Jeune Conseil de Montréal. And the Jeune Conseil de Montréal is a parliament simulation at the City Hall of Montreal, where youth between 18 and 30 years old can actually simulate a municipal council and learn more about Montreal's politics. And I've been organizing this simulation for the past 8 years, and also in the past 15 years, I worked for the YMCs of Quebec for community programs, and I've developed a lot of programs for youth, especially teens from 12 to 17, but also for youth over 17 for their civic participation. And I'm hopeful that I will be able to bring that up so that our youth and our younger generation can participate in our Montreal policies. Thank you.
So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to ask each of you questions for different topics. So the first topic that we have in mind is your platforms. So the question that we have for each one of you, starting with this one, would be, what are the key things within your platform that will bring improvement or solve challenges in Peter McGill?
Yes, well, when it comes to platform, I really want to tackle the platform that is related to youth. One thing that has been going on in the past 4 years is to create this reflex for youth, so that every decision that is taken, well, that youth are being present and consulted, and that they can participate in the definition of different policies. So this reflex, first of all, we can find it inside our team, where there is the youth group inside the team of Denis Coderre, who has been working on the platform and making sure that all the different ideas takes in consideration youth and the realities of younger generations. So in the past 4 years, we've seen what we call the youth strategy, and that has come down to many, many different initiatives in Montreal, such as, well, the simulation, which I have talked to you about, but also youth councils in different boroughs where youth can actually participate and influence the decisions inside each borough. And we want to make sure that these youth councils will be reproduced inside all the 19th borough in Montreal, and making sure that these youth councils actually include as many women and men, and making sure that it is inclusive. But also, one important thing is that we have announced an amount of $500,000 every year that will be invested for youth by youth, where youth will be able to decide where and how this money will be spent for youth programs. So this $500,000 will come back every year, in making sure that we are investing in the needs of our youth. And also, I've talked to you about youth councils in the 19th borough, but also we want to make sure that our OCPM, so it is l'Office de Consultation Publique de Montréal, who's responsible of public consultation, we will want to make its mandate larger, so that it includes youth also in the public consultations. Thank you.
I was under the impression that this question was particularly for Peter McGill District. So I will focus on that, but just globally, a third of our candidates are under the age of 35 in Projet Montréal, and we have gender parity, 50% women, 50% men, and in addition to that, 40% of our candidates are from a background other than, they're not born here, they're of an immigrant background. So that's the face of Montreal that we're representing. In terms of youth, we also have our own internal council who focuses on the issues of youth, in addition to having councils in every single borough. Now, I'm going to focus on Peter McGill. The first thing that we need to do is develop a vision for the development of Peter McGill. If you talk to everybody, the visions that were created in the past, they're not taken into account right now, and the vision that was just created for Peter McGill, partially bring 50,000 people, that's not working either for the residents. That's one thing, to create a vision and make sure that's integrated and participatory. That's very important. We need to stop the democratic deficit here. Excellent living area for all residents. That means affordable and clean housing for students specifically. Dynamic social platform, which means stop the brain drain, try to facilitate the integration and retention of graduating students and newcomers. A strong economic platform, which means providing startup services for businesses and commerces with a focus on creating jobs, and that started with creating jobs for students and newly graduates. Accessibility and transport, increase the safety of cyclists, mainly on Maisonneuve Street, and making metros accessible. And lastly, improve the overall management of the city in terms of construction.
All right, so Peter McGill is like the most awesome district in Montreal. We have 35,000 people that are residents, but in the day we have over 500,000 people. So it's a huge opportunity to be a showcase of the world. And within this, we have Montreal's strongest asset. We have universities. Universities is what sets Montreal apart, and it's awesome that this district has 3 of them. We got Concordia, we got McGill, we got part of the ETS campus. We have to create a situation where we integrate the talents of these people. And the number one thing that we can do to that is give people spaces to live. And right now, the city is only giving the ability for people to live here that want to buy a luxury condo. And I don't know how many students can afford luxury condos. So we have to say, all right, we've got these people, let's line up our housing needs with those. And those are things I really work for. And so there's also quality of life. We've got students are complaining to me that their buildings have bed bugs. We don't have enough inspectors for that. People are saying they're trying to study at night, and the Airbnb guys next door are partying and making noise, and that's a problem. We don't have inspectors for that. So as a city, and in this district, we have to have a city councillor that's just going to go to our housing department and say, hey, don't don't give permits just for what the developers want. We got to talk to our partners. We got to talk to the people that work at the business towers to make sure their people can raise their families here. We got to talk to the students and say, we got to offer you housing that works for you. We got to talk to our retail partners here who have a really hard time finding employees to come work downtown because their employees can't live to work here, and we have to have better public transportation to get these people in and out. Human capital is capital, and I don't think the city of Montreal really realize that. In closing, it's ridiculous that we have these great universities here, and it's almost like we say we almost attach a one-way ticket out to each diploma we hand out. So we got to keep retaining this talent and make sure you guys want to keep on living here.
So right now we're going to enter a part of the debate where the candidates will be asked or questions within the topic that we just debated. So to start with, the first round is going to have first each one asking a question is Mr. Steve Shanahan. The duration of the answer is going to be 2 minutes.
If I understood well, I'm asking a question to Mr. Shanahan.
Yeah.
Okay.
About the same topic.
Or I thought I could have the choice of...
No, we're going to have everyone's.
Okay. Well, you were mentioning that one thing is making sure that the bars were closed at 3 a.m. But, a lot of youth, are working and have been demanding for, a better nightlife that is better organized, better coordinated, that we could have, examples like New York or London where we could have access to a better nightlife, and the downtown area is one of them. So how would you make sure that, those visions are being taken into consideration?
Yeah, so
because students also live in the downtown area, and they're residents also.
Yeah, super question. So 4 years ago, the party that I'm part of, talked about a nightlife district, and right now we have a lot of people of all ages and backgrounds living in downtown. What Denis Coderre has gone to Quebec said, give us the right to designate an open till 6 o'clock in the morning bar area anywhere we want. And his initial effort, which fell flat on its face luckily, was on Crescent Street, and I think he wants to do that on Crescent Street. We have to look at the quality of life of everybody around. So, if we want to go to around where the casino is and have that, but we cannot have bars open till 6 in the morning and have people living on Des Musée or in the towers here. We have to have some quiet time. And either we decide we're going to have a city where people live downtown, or they come and it's a Disneyland. And actually, I don't even like the casino myself. I'm not a big fan of gambling, and if I could be king for a day, I would get rid of that, but I'm not. But if we are going to have an area that, because it's just taxation of the poor. But anyways, if we are going to have these nightlife areas, I think this whole idea of creating Montreal as a place where you can party till 6 in the morning, we could already have a great time. We have so much more to offer, and I think it's really a cheap effort to say, we're going to put Montreal on the map by keeping our bars open till 6 in the morning. There's a huge cost to our local citizens. I think it's a terrible idea, and even I'm sure the students, who end up working in these bars, they're going to have to work till 6 in the morning, and then, and by the time the bar is closed and clean, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and then on Monday morning they got to go back to work. I think we have to offer our people working hard downtown, students are making a few extra bucks on the weekend as a bartender, bouncer, we have to offer them better options.
So right now, the following question is going to go with EJB's shirt. I was going to ask Municipal.
All right, you talked about establishing councils for youth to listen to them. Now, looking at the track record of Mr. Coder in the past, he hasn't taken into account the recommendations of public consultations. Numerous occasions, at least here, we can say that for Francis Can, which is in Peter McGill, he hasn't taken the recommendation into account at all. For children, he hasn't. So what exactly, how can we be sure that this time around he's actually going to listen? Because a council is just that, listen to opinions. There's no concrete actions coming out of it.
Well, when it comes to the children, and when we look at the recommendations of the OCPM, many of them are being responding, and many of them are being applied. Maybe not all of them, but let's remember that the OCPM's role is to do recommendations, and it is after that up to the city councillors, to the city borough, to determine what are the best solutions. So consultation is to make sure that every voice will be heard, and then it is up to the city borough to decide, how to make sure that those recommendations are being applied. And maybe Mr. Shanahan can complain on how, this has been going on between the OCPM and the city borough, but I think that it is important to take into consideration, the fact that those are recommendations. But for the youth councils, one thing that is important is that last spring, the mayor actually promised to every youth council that every recommendation will have a political answer. Before, what we saw was more administrative answers, where it was more the public administration that was answering every one of the recommendations. But he took the responsibility by saying, we will make sure that the executive committee will answer. And I myself, I was part of many consultations where we did receive answers. And whenever we received a no to one recommendation, there was always an explanation of why, some recommendations were not accepted and why some were. And a lot of them were actually, if we look at homelessness, the Youth Council actually did great recommendations, and the City of Montreal applied most of them. If we look at youth entrepreneurs actually did a lot of recommendations that were applied. If you look at also other recommendations related to employment at the City of Montreal, having more youth being employed at different jobs, well, those were also some of them applied. So we did see results. And I think that it is the role of the city council to make sure that we receive answers to every recommendation.
So the last question was the first round will be made by Steve Shanahan. Who's going to ask these shirt.
Okay, first of all, this format is going really well. Listen, I have a lot of questions about the Projet Montréal program, if you will. But one thing, I really want to focus on is the insistence on the idea of adding a new metro line. And I think everyone at this table will agree that we need more mobility in the city. There's no argument against that. Here we have right locally on Bishop Street, adding simply ventilation to the existing metro line has created a situation where for 3 years the streets can be essentially closed, and it's going to have a major effect on the business in that area. how are you confident that the addition of such a metro will not have a disruptive effect on a very established urban core? Things have changed in 40 years, and why does Projet Montréal prefer a metro line to above ground lines, which can be up and running in a very short time at a much lower cost? So that's the question I have to.
All right. Okay, it's a very good question. Thank you, Steve. First of all, I don't think we're debating here the need for mobility.
No.
Essentially, people from Montréal Nord and the Chine, they have very little access to downtown area other than taking their car. Essentially, 70% of them are taking the car. So we're raising the issue that we need to look into that first and foremost. Now, the fact that we went with a metro station, I think we know that the last time metro was expanded was about 30 years ago, and the population has grown substantially. So we actually do need more stations to service the people. Have you looked at the metro stations of Stockholm, even Tehran, or New York, or London? Have you seen the amount of people they're servicing, the areas that they're servicing? We're far, far, far from that. Now, whether the question here is whether it's a metro station or an above ground REM or whatever, I think further studies need to be done to see if there are any benefits to having an REM, because that could be very disruptive too. Now, the new techniques of boring, essentially, of having metro lines, the new techniques do not disrupt the area. You don't need to have an open pit to build a metro station. You can actually go underground. We've done that on University Street, and not for a metro line, but for a tunnel. So essentially, with the new techniques, we think a metro line would be better. But again, I mean, as long as we have public transport, we're raising the idea that these areas need to be served, and we need to think about them.
So, right now we're going to go to question 2, where we're just going to stop the stream for a second to deal with some issues, technical issues here, and we will return pretty soon.